Okay, so now we are ready to make these a scarier group of dinosaurs and dogs. So the first thing we want to do is I'm just going to get rid of, by hiding, all of these other dinosaurs. And I did that just by clicking and dragging over top of the eyeballs here. They're still there, they're just hiding. All right, we're going to deal with the T-Rex. Now what I'm going to do is, if you can look here, one of the things that is really going to help to give a sense that these creatures are kind of living here is if I have them overlap and interact with the environment. Right now they just look like they're on a stage with a backdrop. So how I'm going to do that is, just as you can see, these guys are overlapping each other. I'm going to basically make selections out of this environment here and paste them over again so that I can move them into their own separate layers. So I'm just to show you what I'm thinking about here, I'm going to click here on the background because I need to let Photoshop know what I'm making selections with. And then using the same tools that we used before, I'll use the quick selection tool here. I'm going to increase the size of it. I'm just going to select, let's say, maybe this front area here. Once again, remember, if it's not perfect, we can always kind of come back, and then we'll just get this little area right here. So we'll just come back from our option, kind of push back here because we just want kind of right up to the edge here. And now we're going to go and get that little section there. We can use the quick mask tool here to kind of see what's selected. So most of that, but let's go through and kind of clean up some of this area here. So get out of that and then go up to my select and mask option here. We will switch over to the overlay. And then once again, I'm going to just use this quick selection tool to kind of, with the option to kind of push in just a little bit around this area, kind of get rid of that. And then just a little bit right there. This doesn't have to be perfect because they're going to be kind of looking through there. I'm going to add this little area here. All right. So that looks good. And now I'm going to use my refine edge tool to kind of just, and I'll shrink it down just a little bit here to just kind of help have those like little sections kind of come through. All right, same thing here. Same thing with this area. And over here. And right up in that area there. And over here. And then once again, I'm going to use this area here just to kind of, whoops, get rid of that area, section right back there. All right, hit OK. Now I'm going to copy and paste. And now if we look here, we'll bring back T-Rex. If I drag T-Rex in between background and foreground here, you can see it looks like he's now behind here, which gives us a more of a sense of depth. We'll name this foreground. Now one thing we do have to be careful of is if I go and move, now I can move the entire foreground. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go in here and I'm up in this area here. There are a bunch of different things to lock. We're going to lock everything here by clicking on that little lock tool. So now if I try to move this, it's not going to do it. All right, I'm now going to just kind of quickly go through, turn this off, and select and paste a foreground, kind of a midground here, a background, and then all the way back to the sky. And we'll speed up through this. Okay, so we've gone through and, oh, let me just make sure with the rest of these that I lock them. Okay, So I've cut this into a whole bunch of different layers. So we've got our background. Let's actually just turn these off. We can kind of see them as we kind of build them. So we've got our foreground, our midground, our mid background. I'm not the greatest with these names. Far background, which is just the trees here. Then we got some sky here, so we have a little bit of overlap with that. And then our background, full background here. So let's move our T-Rex, king of dinosaurs, throughout this. And let's move him right here so we can kind of get a good look at him. We'll move him right there. All right, so as we have with all of these layers, I can go down here. And if I move him to the foreground, he's just behind there. I'll move him up just a little bit because that makes a little bit more sense. You can see that the difference between, just in scale, because you're using different references of his size here compared to here, he looks a little bit larger because he's overlapping these items, which is saying he's bigger than those things that he's closer to. I can also move even farther back, going into the midground. We'll just move him up just a little bit because that'll make sense. Even farther back here. So now he's looking very large. We can see that, comparatively to that tree there, he's huge. His eyeball is about as big as a tree. And then if I move him even farther back here, he's back in this area, and then we can even move him behind the clouds a little bit. And these clouds, we're going to go in here, and I'm just going to go select this. I'm going to unlock that for a second, because what I want to do is just change the opacity on those clouds so it looks like he's kind of peeking through them. We'll play with this a little bit more. All right, cool. So once again, just looking at this, you can see how as I move him further and further up on the layer stack, where he is not being, he's not overlapping as much, he kind of shrinks in size. All right, so we have these different things to compare him to. In the next section, let's actually make him huge right there. And so this looks all right, but we've got some issues. As you can see, when we get further back here, there should be a little bit more blur, and there should be a change in color, and we'll tackle that next.